And now, our feature presentation. Go.
Hey guys, I'm Scarfy.
I'm Naka.
And I'm Krüz.
And welcome to Subwoofer Entertainment, a determinedly drunk, geeky, and cheerful podcast where we'll be house and stream we entertain, bringing you all latest entertainment news. So that's a lot like a music appreciation class, talk about what's going on in certain topics to see how people react to them in certain ways. How are we guys doing tonight?
It's been a weird week, gotta say.
It's been a very weird week. I will have to say, we were fidgeting around with the chat, but it looks like we had a little bit of a problem. But A chat is better than no chat, at least, so we'll be able to get that out of the way. We'll be sure to look into what's been going on our next show. Guys, have any of you guys been playing Among Us lately?
No.
I haven't had a large enough group to play with yet. I think, the D&D group I play with, we could, but I would like to, but I also like to get Fall Guys at some point, get into that at some point, because I know that both of those games have been all the rage. There's a great meme with Danny DeVito, and it's like, everyone, 2020 sucks, and this Danny DeVito holding the two characters from each of those games. It says, "Can I offer you a nice jelly bean in this trying time?"
Jelly beans. I mean, we all like to eat those, especially since Halloween is right around the corner. We're counting down the days to Halloween.
It's not my 20 days is not right around the corner.
Well, I mean,
you know what? It's Halloween right after summer. It's like
and here's the thing. It's like
I'm already seeing Christmas shit out.
Yeah.
God, I hate it when I see Christmas shit and Halloween is not even done yet. So
they gotta prepare for. They prepare quite early.
Yeah. S.E.T has been brought to you by Streamlabs. We are a non-profit podcast, but we use this as our go-to for making more episodes and help them be bigger and better than ever before by purchasing equipment or other visual means. Please don't feel obligated. We are not asking for money to pay the rent, but if you have the heart to donate, it is greatly appreciated.
Yep. I need to check these results myself before I pull them up, but if straw poll results, because we had a straw poll last week. Scarfy, would you like to explain?
So this straw poll, we decided to, as a group, we were all talking about doing a personal transition on whether or not we are going to make our show more interactive. However, we did not want to. There was a lot of debate as to whether or not we should do it. There was a lot of debate as to whether or not we should, try and make sure what to do with that. A lot of us were deciding we should do it this way. A lot of other people were deciding we should do it that way. But we decided that we want to make sure what you guys had to say about it. And basically what this transition is regarding when it comes to video game trailers and the movie trailers. We are now going to be switching over to video game format. I'm going to go ahead and look at the results right now.
Video game format, excuse me.
Video format, you know what I mean. Say what I mean, not what I do.
Out of 12 votes, out of 12 people who voted, which is quite frankly a lot for our standards,
yes.
You know what I mean. 67% of the voters said yes, 33% of the voters said no. So that's an 8-4. That's a 2-1 ratio. The notion passes that we will move to a video format for reactions to video game and movie trailers.
That is correct. I do want to make it very clear that the transition will not be as quick as we would like it to be. It will be very slow. We want to make sure that our stream is going to be up and running and that no one is going to shut us down just because we're reacting to trailers. And I want to talk about something because I know that Naka was very, very hesitant about this thing, and I brought up a very interesting point to him. Our motto, we are a determinedly drunk, geeky, and cheerful podcast, blah, 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 blah. We're like a music appreciation class. We see how people react to them in certain ways. And the key word is react. And that's always been a part of our motto. And I thought about that for a long time. And I don't know about you, Naka, but that has kind of been what's been playing on my mind for a while.
Hey, you know what? Well, it's a good thing the Fine Brothers aren't around trying to copyright the word react for YouTube. Am I right?
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
That was a shit show.
It was indeed a shit show.
Indeed. So I'm excited to see this video format. I hope it goes well. Naka, Krüz, do you have anything else to say regarding it?
Just, it's going to be a slow burn. We're not going to just be like, herpadur.
Yeah.
Right?
do it all
Not
the
be
way.
like Rob Schneider.
Derp, derp, derpadur.
No, but really.
I think after sitting on it a little bit, I think this is actually going to be a good way forward.
Yes.
So, and I'm not just a big thing of groupthink. I actually thought about this on my own and, why I was originally against it.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing as how I've, come to see it in a new light and that the viewers that voted in the straw poll have voted 8-4, so that's 12 out of 12, 8-4, 8 for yes, 4 for no. That is going to be the way we move forward.
I agree, and keep in mind, I tried to be very fair about this vote as well because I wanted to make sure
the three of
that
us were not allowed to vote.
Exactly, and I wanted to make sure that I posted this well ahead of time, and I posted it a couple amount of times just so that people got in their votes, and I posted it on Wednesday even after our last episode. So I hope that I was very fair. I was trying to be very fair. I hope that Naka and Krüz felt that I was being very fair.
Yep, you were.
All right, well,
and
I'm glad.
I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something to one of my friends who is also named Kyle. But Kyle, I know you're gonna listen to this afterwards and think it's about you. The one that supported us through our Streamlabs donations very much. This isn't about you. This is about my personal friend Kyle, who is currently at work at Amazon getting ready for Prime Day because. Thank you, Jeff Bezos, for extending it from 1 day to 5 this year.
Then call it Prime Week.
Asshole.
Exactly. Why not call it Prime Week?
Because he's a dumbass. And he's just using this to fund his dick rockets. But Kyle.
Are those dick rockets for sale?
I don't know. But Kyle, who works at Amazon and not at the grocery store, who is always here but is not here today, but will be listening to the VOD of this afterwards. It's a little convoluted, I know. That's how democracy works. You vote for it, and you don't just switch after the results come in.
All right.
Just, if my Canadian friends were here, they'd understand who I was talking about, but they are currently having their Canadian Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, and our Thanksgiving isn't until... What, 6 weeks in November?
It's
which, by the way, we're off that weekend.
Yes, we are off Thanksgiving weekend.
So, but anyway, that is it. That is our poll. We're going to be moving into a new direction. We'll be talking a little bit more about that. We hope that for next episode, we'll be able to bring you more content as well. And we hope that what we bring is something very, very special.
Yep.
With that, I don't know how to say this. One of the greatest legends just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth, and he had such good things to bring to this world when it comes to music. Krüz, you know who we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Again, unfortunately, we have to start another music segment with a death in the music world last week, even though it was earlier this summer. We mentioned that Charlie Daniels had passed away. An outpouring of support came when Eddie Van Halen lost his battle with, I believe it was throat cancer on this past Tuesday. There was an outpour of support and tribute, whether tribute music or videos or just posts talking about him and the people they knew. Angus did, Geezer Butler, Tony Iommi, a number of other musicians have expressed their condolences, and in particular, one from his son Wolfgang, who has played bass in the band since.
For the record, he has the most badass name ever. Just keep going.
Yeah, it's up there in the runnings for quite possibly the most badass name. According to the news ticker somewhere, it said he died in a hospital in Santa Monica, California, surrounded by, I know it sounds soppy, but it was with his family and friends, including his son, as I mentioned, Wolfgang, who's played bass in the band since 2006, and his brother Alex, the drummer and co-founder of the band. Eddie had one of the most instantly recognizable guitars, whether it be mostly the red, white, and black one, or it was also yellow and black and white. The guitar design is iconic without question, as was his playstyle. He had the playstyle to match his iconic guitar, having popularized and arguably having perfected the tapping technique, and it really shows, especially on tracks like Eruption, and shredded the guitar like very few others could. Van Halen was covered earlier this year with BPMD, that heavy metal supergroup, with on their American-made cover album of 70s rock featuring Van Halen's song Dead or Alive, abbreviated DOA. Van Halen emerged from Pasadena, California as a rock and roll force to be reckoned with, and to this day, especially following his passing, guitarists worldwide have hailed Eddie as a true guitar hero and a master of his craft. He will be missed dearly, and our best wishes go out to his family and to others grieving. Rest easy, Eddie. Shred in the heavens.
Shred in the heavens. So it's kind of sad that we're bringing this up, because I remember playing Guitar Hero World Tour for the PS2, and this was probably the last song on the list, and it was Hot for Teacher. And I swear to God, like, I don't know who created that song, but I was just so mesmerized by the the guitar riffs, the guitar solos.
I thought the drums I thought it was a real motorcycle sound effect the first time I heard that song on the radio. I'm like, what is this? This is amazing. And I listened to it, found it. I'm like, Van Halen is amazing.
Yeah. Just I wish that I remember talking to Krüz about Van Halen, and how Eddie was, he had to go through a lot of bullshit throughout his entire life. I remember him having to deal with a lot of racism to get to where he is today, to where he was, in fact, because who knew that he would actually get to this point? Exactly.
I didn't know this, but having done research for this thing, and I think in this article it says it, his mother was Indonesian, so even though it doesn't really show his skin, I mean, mostly fair skin, I guess you would call it, but technically still being mixed race, and that is kind of that had its own batch of discrimination to deal with, and I'm not sure if that's entirely. I mean, again, he immigrated from Holland or Netherlands, so didn't speak English that well at a young age. He moved when he's 7, so. Again, it's kind of like the Italians were discriminated against, mostly in New York and the East Coast. So, I mean, you kind of, it's unfortunate, but to have not only persevered, but risen to the ranks and become, I don't want to say it, but not the best guitar player, but one of, because there's so many others that are super talented and dedicated to the craft.
Yeah.
That he had the chops.
Yeah, he did. And I remember talking to Krüz about it and just saying why did all he had to do was stop smoking and he would have stayed alive. But at the time, Krüz just basically told me that's the life, that you kind of, you kind of do what you do, and sometimes people still, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be too rude, but I sometimes get the feeling that rock stars kind of stay in the 80s, even though everyone's evolved from that. But I can't really say that because
I think it's more so that it was kind of not that they stay there, but their past catches up with them, and that's what you say with like. I mean, I learned that he started smoking when he was 12, and that's quite. I mean, and also think about at the time that he was living, like, the time he's living is up until now, but his young years and like those years where smoking was not as frowned upon. It was more, to use a word, stylish. And again, it was like every rock star did it. It seemed like you had pictures of like Jimmy Page with a cigarette and Lemmy Kilminster. I mean, he went hard. What's mind blowing about Lemmy is that he was denied a transfusion because the doctor said that fresh blood would kill him. That's how toxic his blood was from all the drugs, cigarettes, everything else. And I mean, it is the life.
Who is this person again?
He was
Lemmy,
the front
bass
man,
player and frontman of Motorhead.
Yeah, one of the most iconic figures in metal. It was dearly missed when he passed. I think it was 2011-ish.
No, it was 2014.
2014. I don't know why I said 2011.
It was 2015.
Yes, I remember. I think we talked about it at some point. No, we didn't.
Oh yeah, it was December 28th, 2015. He had just turned 70. 4 days after he turned 70, he passed away.
And again, he died when he was 70. Then Eddie died when he was 65. So I mean, it's the things you do in your youth that they will catch up to you later in life. And that was kind of evident here. But I think that for all the things that he had his own reasons, he made his own choices. And I'm not going to say like, I mean, people shouldn't smoke, but it's not my job to be like the truth campaign or whatever. But when I mean it's part of the lifestyle, it's part of the imagery, it's part of the aesthetic of it. Like you see, as I say, like you see pictures of them with cigarettes. You often see them with cigarettes in concerts and everything else. It's just part of the image, and people feel that they need to embrace that. They feel like they need to be part of that, whether by being pressured into it or just feeling obligated for some reason, or even just picking it up on their own.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can tell you this. For even though smoking is bad for you, we all know this, and I'm not going to be preachy about it because fuck that shit. I think that putting the cigarette in the head of his guitar while playing Eruption is probably one of the most baller moves.
I agree. That was a pretty awesome move. He just saved his cigarette on his guitar and just
you see
played away.
The wisp of smoke rising off it as it's going.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the thing with Van Halen is that when he passed away a couple days ago, I was reminded of the Gran Turismo 4 intro video that plays like when you boot up the game, because most of the time when I play it I have it turned off, but I do have it on an emulator because I have a fully complete save that I can just screw around with. It's my I'm hanging out with my friends, I want to play Gran Turismo for a little bit, just screw around. But in the North American version of Gran Turismo 4 released on PS2, both the regular version and the Greatest Hits version, at the end of like the first part of Moon Over the Castle, I believe it is, it's a very opera version of Moon Over the Castle, which is like the theme of Gran Turismo. It transitions into Panama by Van Halen.
Nice.
And I
imagine it going from operatic shit to just pure rock and roll.
It's the intro. And I was reminded of it in Van Halen in many ways because, Jump was one of their biggest, if not their biggest hit. Panama and Hot for Teacher, arguably their biggest three hits. But then you have things like Eruption, which is one of the best guitar solos of all time.
And don't forget about Jump.
I just did I just not mention Jump?
Jump,
sorry.
and also, my favorite song is Jump, and also Jump. Actually, my favorite Van Halen song is probably Atomic Punk, if not, and Hot for Teacher. But I mean, I wanted to pick one of the deep-ish cuts, but Atomic Punk, I just like it's very fast-paced, like darker vibe.
And, very recently, season 18 of Family Guy, there was an episode entitled Coma Guy, where the main synopsis is Peter, like there's a dinner party at the Griffins, and Peter just pronounces that's like, I have never read a book in my entire life. Lois is like, go to the library tomorrow and read 1984. Ask the librarian for a copy of 1984, not knowing that it's Van Halen. Because, 1984 is the George Orwell book. The classic about dystopian futures.
Gives him a Van Halen record.
And that's a Van Halen CD. And it's like, wow, reading's amazing. And it's just Panama from Van Halen off of 1984. And there's a little bit of a gag. It's like somebody else in the library is like, probably listening to Orwell. And,
you can tell we have a lot to talk about when it comes to Van Halen.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's something impactful.
It's just when you have a lot of kids back in 2004, 2005, whenever Gran Turismo 4 was released, it was one of those 2 years. Not a whole lot of people may not have known about Van Halen, but then you have what's supposed to be Moon Over the Castle in the European and Japanese releases. You just have Van Halen's Panama, and it introduced a lot of people to Van Halen, one way or another. And the main reason why I remembered about that is I'm going to shout out another podcast, Time Extend, because maybe one day I can give them information about a video game that they have tried to talk about but haven't been able to talk about, because I know these two games in and out. But that's another story for another day. But they tweeted out that we're saddened to hear of the news of Van Halen passing away. A lot of us would not have known about Van Halen without the Gran Turismo 4 intro video. And you see so many people from so many different walks of life come out and, express how much this loss of life impacted us.
You know what I saw? I also, on one of it was a top, Loudwire did like a top moments of Van Halen, and one of those was the one I mentioned with him playing Eruption with his cigarette and his guitar. There was something from like some trap music channel that said like, "Rest in peace, Eddie. Thanks for all the sweet riffs." I was like, all right. See, I mean, it crosses boundaries. I guess not boundaries, but like it's bigger than rock itself. It's that your music has impacted so many people, and it made it, and he had fun while doing it. He looked like, you see a lot of pictures and videos of Eddie playing guitar. He looks like he's having the time of his life, like every time, and it's awesome to see that.
I mean, even Metallica tweeted they were enormously saddened to hear about the untimely passing of Eddie Van Halen. They even said, "We consider him an inspiration, an idol, and after spending a summer together on the road in '88, a friend." Damn.
Yeah, a lot of rock stars, other rock stars had, and they met him and thought, like, he's a nice guy, and you're brothers in rock and everything. Angus, there's a picture of Angus Young with him. Angus, through ACDC tweeted his own condolences. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people are reaching out, which is awesome to see. It, like, as unfortunate as it is, it does bring communities together, and like they'll remember the good times and celebrate the life of a very, very talented musician.
We spent a long time mesmerizing about this person.
That's because he was such a legend.
I know, and I don't understand. Like, I can't stop talking about him. Like, it's so upsetting that he's gone.
I was listening to the news talk radio the other day when I actually first found out about the passing of Van Halen, and he was talking about, the radio host was talking about if there was a Mount Rushmore for guitarists, what four would you put on there? And immediately, other than Jimi Hendrix, Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen.
Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, I guess you mean four.
4, yes. I want to say Alex Lifeson.
Tony Iommi, maybe Clapton, but I mean maybe someone else. Maybe Yngwie Malmsteen, actually.
Mm-hmm. I'm having trouble deciding a 4th, but Tom Morello.
Again, it's like, oh my God, this is what I was talking about with the top guitarists. Anytime you try to mention 4, and then you're like, you forget, I forgot about this guy, and you're like, this guy's super talented.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's hard to, you can't really have one without the other in some cases. I mean, who says Mount Rushmore of rock and roll, and let's make this a thing, has to be limited to 4? I mean, no one said that was a rule.
I mean, me personally, before, we should get a move on after this, because we have other things we do need to talk about. My personal, and again, subject to change, Mount Rushmore, top 4 greatest guitarists of all time, Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van... I mean, Slash is up there. That is... See, that's the thing. I'm just... Frederick Tyler. I know who you are. Don't worry. Your name's Tyler. But Slash, again, it's one of those things that you leave out. But again, me personally, Jimi Hendrix, one of the most influential Seattle musicians of all time, Eddie Van Halen, Tom Morello, Alex Lifeson of Rush.
Yeah,
those are my personal top 4, subject to change.
One of my current favorites to listen to is probably Alex Skolnick of Testament. Like, his solos are consistently awesome. Him and Eric Peterson are just a great duo. Oh, and I forgot Judas Priest, too. Glenn Tipton and KK Downing. But yeah, we'll move on from that to... there's a few other things I don't want to spend a lot of time on because I don't like them, but we will...
Yeah, so as
the show
always,
must go on.
I agree. we can spend all day mesmerizing about Eddie Van Halen, but we do have a show that we have to continue. So
I think you mean reminiscing, but still,
of course, yeah.
We were mesmerized listening to that guitar player. Yeah, certainly.
What's in the news of today, Krüz?
K-pop. Now here's the thing. I don't outright hate K-pop. But I'm just not. It's not for me. More K-pop. Oh, the god, fucking YouTube, 2018 rewind flashbacks. What a hot pile of garbage that was. Most disliked video in history. Actually,
check that out. That's hot.
That's hot. You know what? I want Fortnite and Mark Ass Brown Lee. I could
Mark Ass Brown Lee.
That's how it sounded when Will Smith said it. It's like, I'm like, who? Well, it's harder to identify who he is when you don't say his name. It's Marquise, not Mark Ass.
Anyway, back to the album.
NCT 2020. Yeah, I found the video for Misfit, and oh my god, I'm another person wearing a Yankees hat for fashion. Fuck the Yankees and fuck their bandwagon and get humbled. You can't buy yourself a championship, ass wipes. Anyway,
it's like someone buying a Metallica t-shirt and they have no idea who Metallica is.
It's more so that it's because they sell it outside of sports shops and everything. Like, I think it maybe Hot Topic or something like that. They'll have baseball caps, but only for the Yankees and the Dodgers usually. Maybe another team. And same for basketball. They only have the Bulls, the Lakers, the Celtics, maybe. But yeah, about the music. This is part 1 of a dual album. Part 2 will be released in November, it said. This first part will be released on October 12th. Again, it's just not my thing. It doesn't make me actively hate it, but K-pop is just not my scene. But there's something to be said that I don't know what it is, or maybe it's just because the Korean population, and maybe because Americans are also obsessed with it. But I mean, the number of Korean population. I don't know how big their population is, but I know it's up probably decent. Whatever. But for some reason, their shit. K-pop just seems to go viral whenever it exists. I mean, not just BTS or whatever, but yeah. Yeah, you got agreement and shit. So yeah, that's part one. If you're at all interested, you can be excited that part two is coming later this year. About a month away.
Anyway,
Let's get juicy.
I don't have much to say about this K-pop album. I want to move on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, K-pop, it's one of those genres where it's just exploded in popularity. You don't understand it in terms of, like, I don't understand the language that these people are speaking in, or you don't understand why it's popular.
Some is in English, I think, or some words are in English.
Yeah, there are K-pop stars who do speak English.
This song, they say "I am a misfit" or something. They say that in English, but when you see, like, usually because they're not super new, these are different. But the videos for, like, BTS songs or something like that will have at least 100 million views. Usually, it's like, what is this? Usually, it takes years to accrue that many views, but they just get it in, like, months, maybe a year. So it's kind of, that's another thing, I guess, that makes it hard to understand, because when you see that it's so popular and you've had no idea this existed, and you see how quickly it just exploded in popularity, you're like, how? And then you look at it and you're like, this is what it is? I don't, what makes this special? Not to say it's bad, but, like, what makes this different from other artists or other pop bands and stuff like that? I mean, other than being from Korea. Oh, yeah, the Stan fans. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. If you want to know about stans and how crazy they can be, Stan by Eminem. That pretty much, the whole word or term stan, it's basically, it's a
stalker fan.
It's a stalker fan. That's what they are,
Yeah.
K-pop stans.
Legions of memes.
Man. And I mean, I guess K-pop stans have done things like, hey, we're going to buy all these tickets and then not go to this thing, and it's political, so I'm being vague about it. But,
Okay.
I mean, that does, yeah. Again, it's K-pop. If you're into it, more power to you. I don't like pop music. Like, 99.8% of pop music I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
So, Krüz, let's, well, Scarfy, you have anything else to say before we move on?
Not really. I want to move on.
So, got this from Jacksepticeye reviewing a Wendy's employee training video, and one section was telling them how to properly cook the burger, and it said, leave it in its juice so it's nice and juicy. And the way he says juicy is very funny. Yeah, juicy. Juice box. Juice pack. Capri Sun. High C. Sunny D. It's more difficult to track down what song is from what album, because rap, I think it's just part of the and also it's not lost on me that The Hustle Continues is abbreviated as THC, a little tongue-in-cheek joke there, I guess. And, well, I guess it's a little more direct when the song title is Goddamn High in all caps. So for rap, it's like, I think singles are a lot more common because often collaborations aren't part of a full album. They'll just collaborate for one song and not stick it on an album. They just do song by song rather than album by album. And y'all want a single, say fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck that.
So you know the song Wet
This
Ass
one is
Pussy
just with
by
Wiz
Nicki
Khalifa.
Minaj?
Oh, Nicki.
I thought it was Cardi B, not Nicki Minaj.
Whatever.
Same thing.
Whatever.
Same person. They're the same person.
Same thing.
They are
I don't
not
even
the
care
same
anymore.
person.
I don't even care. This song literally sounds like it's trying to be the next Wet Ass Pussy. The title, not an actual wet ass pussy. But continue.
Swamp ass.
Yeah, Krüz, can you continue? I mean,
I didn't know what you were saying. The album's out October 14th. Wiz Khalifa's on the song If You Like That Guy, and maybe also Juicy J. Up next is Mario!
Super Mario.
Did you see that?
But,
Did you see that,
no.
Naka?
Yes, I did. Super Mario Microwave.
Yeah, for some reason that was on my recommended because YouTube sometimes randomly picks out a golden gem, and it's just so fun. And it's making like a microwave hum. I'm like, I don't know why, but the first time I watched that, I was just crying. Mario, this isn't really rap. This is the one who was from. I remember why I was like, not partial to this guy, but like why I was like, oh, he's from Baltimore, like me. I mean, shout out to a guy from my hometown, but it's not my jam with music. It's just how it is with me and pop. The animated video for Closer is linked, and Mars, again, Closer to Mars, there isn't a song called 2 that I believe. Not sure what you would write that about. And Pretty Mouth Magic are also available. Excuse me. The rest of this EP is 2 songs. So you've already released more than half of it. And usually EPs are like anywhere from like 3 to 6. I usually no more than 6 songs. It stands for extended play, and that's usually if they release a single and like a remix in the same thing, in the same little package. October 16th is when it's coming out. Yeah, and it is kind of, not to have another subject, but it kind of brings into questions like what is an appropriate number of, because now we can do this with music, is how many songs to release early. It depends, I guess, on how many you release versus the album. I mean, Blue Oyster Cult released 3, Testament on their recent one released 2. I think Trivium did 2 or 3. I think it maybe either 1 or 3, I guess, but I don't know. It's different with an EP because there's less songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to Lagos?
Not just yet. See, the thing with more pop music, R&B, rap, hip hop, it's just I don't know why I can't necessarily click with it. Maybe it's just because I feel like I'm a boomer and feel like all of these songs sound the same, and they kind of do.
Goddamn kids and your Wiz Khalifa.
And it's these artists are following music trends, and I'm not going to. Why would I hold that against the artists? They're, a lot of artists nowadays, they're not necessarily on independent labels. They are with, like UMG or Sony or some big fuck off company. And, their creative vision isn't necessarily always there because they're told from a corporate viewpoint, I think that was the case with more stuff.
I think that was at least the case with Kesha, because they wanted to promote that party animal image, and she was like begrudgingly accepting of that. She was like, "Yeah, that's not me at all. That's not." I mean, I probably would imagine you like to party, but you're not. We like to party.
Yeah, she doesn't want to be like Amy Winehouse.
Yeah, it's not like, this isn't my life. This is just like my stage persona. And I actually thought the only reason I didn't like the song she did with Zed was because there was no bass drop or anything. But when you take away the auto-tune, she actually does sound good. But it's like, when you take away all that artificial shit and get to like the actual vocals, then again, you can play around with that. You can double vocals. People have been doing that all the time. Add like effects to it but like when you try to artificially adjust it to sound better, it usually ends up making it sound worse. And that is the case with Wizkid.
Yep.
I just don't get like it. Well, it's not that I don't get it, but I just don't like when the sound of it, like gonna ma. It's like you just. I mean, not everyone is T-Pain, but yeah, auto-tuned rap. I was like, I mean, try my best, honestly, to listen to as much as I can of it to get an idea of what the things sound like. Especially if I don't already know what the artist is or what they sound like, who the artist is, like how their sound is. But this is just like, I'm like, yeah, no. I mean, I get a lot of people do follow rap. They do like various artists. There are people who will talk about like who they like. Kendrick Lamar, I know, is all I know is that he's like one that a big number of people like. Big number, large, huge. You would say the size of the hugeness is large. Yeah, Wizkid album, Made in Lagos. The video is called Smile. It seems to have a good message, but it doesn't really tickle my fancy with its vocal sound. October 15th, yeah.
It's along the lines of, new trends in music, like SoundCloud rapper, SoundCloud, not SoundCloud.
Unintentional burn.
That was not that was a slip of the tongue, because SoundClouds are the meme songs of not Spotify, SoundCloud. I'm mixing up my music streaming services today.
You mean Spoofy?
Yes, Spoofy, but
I love
SoundCloud rappers.
Dan's dad is so funny.
SoundCloud rappers and mumble rap are just, and heavily auto-tune rap. It's really stuff that I can't get into, because it feels like it's like low effort. It like, you might have the backing, tracks and stuff like that. The instrumentals might be great, but then you have this overly artificial, over processed vocals, or pussy, vagina, my dick big. I can't get into that. Vagina.
Who are you, Amy Schumer?
But yeah, I don't really know how to say about Made in Lagos, but hey, he made his music and that's great. I'm actually more interested in the next guy, to be honest.
You do you, and if you enjoy it, you enjoy it, and if he's happy making the music that he is, why, just because I don't like it doesn't give me a right to shit on him for making what he wants, because that's rude.
Yeah.
Rude. What I do find interesting, or it's less so interesting and more like, oh, that's a nice surprise, is the music video for this next one was like full on like a musical number, like everyone like they're in a set, everyone's like in costume, they're doing a synchronized dance and everything.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. The music production of this video was so good.
I wasn't expecting like a full on, it like this is like looks like you would see in like not maybe a Broadway musical, but some kind of musical. This is Guy Sebastian, T.R.U.T.H. T.R.U.T.H. Not really my kind of music either, but I can get behind the song's message. It's "Let me drink," and it's basically, yes, I know, but it's also the sentiment behind it, because it's basically after a long day of work, and in the video he's working at like I don't know, some kind of warehouse factory, some kind of like blue collar job, and like where everyone's like dirty, grimy, and like wearing a jumpsuit and something like that. Sometimes after a real hard day of work, whatever kind of work you do, sometimes all you want to do is just crack open a cold one, perhaps with the boys. And I can respect that. And of course, there are a number of metal songs that express the same thing. Like Judas Priest has plenty of songs like about wanting to unwind after a hard day. And there's Tears, Downhole Drunk, where it's like hard is the work to blaze a trail, and in the wake of it, sometimes I need heedless horns of mead and ale. So it's like sometimes you just need to unwind and let it go, and that's I respect that. I mean, and also I guess props to also I don't know if all the other videos are like anything like this, but for putting that together for just a music video, that's a lot of time and effort to put into like getting the production right and everything, getting the scenes right, directing that. It's a lot. I mean, and again, it's harder to do now with Five Finger Death Punch they were going to do a music video for a little bit off, and and they made it roll. It starts with the manager texting the guitarist Sultan about like, are you guys going to get the video? Which has been a running gag with them. They're like, production, they're just asking us for a video, and we don't want to fucking do it right now. We've got so much other shit to do. It's like, we're about to go on stage literally right now. You can't fucking talk. You can't keep asking us right now. So yeah, they still made something out of it, and it ended up being pretty good. So yeah, good video. I guess it's probably out of the musical releases we've listed so far. This one is definitely top of that list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I mean, you basically pretty much covered all the points that I could have covered, Krüz. So there you go. This is what happens when you have two people with a similar taste in music and somebody else who doesn't on the show. Is that a lot of the points are either repeated or like they're said, but they're also the same points that one other person just said, and then the other point is just completely different.
I realize I went on a little longer than usual.
I mean, that's fair. You pretty much said what I was going to say anyway.
Don't let me take all the wind out of everyone's sails.
I read an article, and you know, I'm kind of stealing your transition away from me. I'm sorry, but I read an article about, I believe it was this guy who went through rehab in the past couple of years because he was drinking like a gallon or two of vodka a day.
Yeah, I've seen like
bad.
Yeah, it was like this is like bridging the gap. It was like called a series like where an old World War II vet talked to a young Iraq vet, and there was also one about addiction where the guy was like, "Yeah, I was drinking like a gallon of gin like maybe every hour." I'm like, how are you alive? Like,
yeah,
that's kind of one of the reasons I've tried to stay away from hard liquor. I haven't had like whiskey or anything in quite a while.
It's all about moderation.
I do make exceptions on occasion, but I'm I'll just stick with beer.
I've actually been drinking a lot less since I went back to college, which is healthier. And I wasn't doing any excessive drinking. I know this is about the music, but we're also kind of talking about this specific member or this specific artist. I wasn't drinking that much anyway, but I'm just like, I've been drinking a lot less since I went back to college, which is, good. I'm not using, I was never using alcohol as a coping mechanism. And, I'll admit, at 11:45 this morning, 12 o'clock, I made myself a nice little rum punch. But, it's, all about moderation, but we need to continue about the music, whether it's good or bad, and it's leaning more towards the bad side.
Leaning towards, it's more so leaning from bad towards a hot pile of garbage. Okay. So first off, I saw the dislike ratio was very high, which kind of has this morbid curiosity of like, I wonder what makes it so bad, and I clicked and instantly regretted my decision. Now, it's fair to say to not expect Motley Crue, and Tommy Lee was Motley Crue's drummer. I believe they've since ended their career with Motley Crue, but that was his profession for in his prime, and so I guess it's fair to say to not necessarily expect the full band's quality from a solo member's pursuits. I guess the only exception might be Ozzy Osbourne, and he also did have Randy Rhoads with him, who was an excellent guitarist in his own right. So there are exceptions, but it's the exception, not the rule usually. But they're not always so like far out different from what the band originally did. Sometimes people have different visions. That's up to them. But this is how am I going to be nice about this? It's bad, exceptionally bad. This that we said, I think, a little bit before that, like this kind of pop rap kind of scene it's very saturated with all this glitz and glamour and bedazzled this and everything.
I was just listening to it, and it's so bad. It's just awful. It's like I don't want to say it's like Rebecca Black's Friday bad, but it's kind of leaning towards that.
That was at least something that was annoying, but there's a threshold of tolerability. This, it's like, because the thing about pop music, it's meant to have those catchy sequences of notes. That's what, the term is called a pop hook, which is what guitars, even metal has. It's like pop hook is like those catchy riffs. You're like, oh yeah, I want to hear that again. But pop music is like that, and that's what it just compounds that. This doesn't have any of that, or talent, or anything else. So yeah, it's bad. To be fair, the other video, I can't even remember what the song was, and I couldn't be bothered to find out. It had less dislikes, but still an amount that would raise the eyebrow. So I guess Tommy Lee, stick to promoting PETA, buddy. It'll probably treat you better. October 16th, if you care about it.
Yeah, it's garbage, but people eat it up like a fucking certain journalist in the NASCAR media circle. Huh, Jim Utter? Yeah, using anxiety to make a fucking joke about one of the drivers who's come out with some anxiety issues, making a joke upon his behalf about something that you don't seem to suffer from, you dumb cunt.
You dumb bastard.
You're a little salty about that.
Yeah, Jim Utter is one of the worst members in the NASCAR media circle, and I don't know why he hasn't had his hard card revoked yet. He is one of the biggest pieces of shit in the media.
I mean, it sounds like Boston. It sounds like Boston sports media to me.
Utter, Utter,
as in
Jim Utter.
Utter,
like an utter pile of dog shit. That's what his journalism is. Anyway,
why do you follow him on Twitter?
I mean, why do people? I was going to.
Yeah, you do.
Oh my god, I need to fix that.
People. There's this thing called hate watch. Like they hate people hate watch something because they laugh at something that's bad, but you enjoy laughing at it. And people probably hate follow as a joke. Like sometimes that happens. So yeah, we're getting to actual music now. Guess what?
69.
With thunder and lightning.
Our country's in a shithole.
I was very entertained by this music video by a small animation studio called Apartment D. It looks excellent. It's all claymation, stop motion. Danny Sexbang and Ninja Brian proudly present another fantastically comedic rock album, The Prophecy, which, as you can see from the background, seems a very Dungeons and Dragons-ish kind of inspired. Maybe the little Lord of the Rings sprinkled in there too. I mean, it's pretty. Now I see it. Yeah, Ninja Brian is Ninja Gandalf now. But
Gandalf.
Yeah, you shall not pass. While the album does not appear on iTunes right now, it'll likely be on there since other releases are on there, but it will probably appear on Spotify.
Spoofy? You mean Spoofy?
Yeah, it's like, Dan, make a Spoofy? Yeah, will it be on Spoofy? He's like, can you listen to it on Spoofy? I suppose you could, Father, if that were a thing.
I like Ninja Sex Party.
Yeah, and also physical CDs, pre-orders. If you want, you don't have to listen to it right now, but the link of that video, there is a link in the description of that video for if they are still available, pre-ordering signed copies of the CD, if you're interested in that. This is the first song, I believe, was released from the new album, and as I said, excellent stop-motion video from the studio Apartment D, and of course, it's about, well, balls. One of the great comments was like, I thought they were done. I thought NSB was done with their comedy rock days when I saw this title, but then I heard it and I'm like, yep, it's par for the course. It's genuinely an awesome, like, not like maybe glam rock a little bit, like 80s synth rock kind of like vibe. The backing band for this is excellent. I haven't listened to many of the other songs that are available, but I will very soon, and I'll download this if I can, since I don't really have. I mean, my car is a CD thing, but I don't really use it that much. Anyway, another comment said, this song, it's thunder. It's called Thunder and Lightning. It's about balls. So it's like, the comment said, this is basically has every kind of AC/DC lyric in it, which is arguably true. Yeah, there's a little bit of a forecast there. A few of the other songs are on YouTube and maybe a Spotify woof, as well for the pre-save option. I'm not sure how it works because I don't really use Spotify that much, but go ahead and look if you're interested in NSP. I would recommend also checking out not just saving the song, but checking out the video as well, because it is quite awesome.
It's a shame that the animation studio wasn't called Apartment C or Apartment 23, because then we could have on NBC, don't trust the C in Apartment 23.
The C
stands for cunt.
It stands for cunt.
There won't be no sadness if we were
Laura.
super gay.
This
Just
summer on
unicorns and
ABC's Two Fingers in the Ass.
2 fingers. I love that. The way he said 2 fingers in the ass.
And anyway,
I'm just reusing Danny Sexbang / Dan Avidan bits. So
yeah.
Dan Avidan.
So
Why don't we go ahead and move on to our next piece of news.
Next and final piece of music. I guess you could say they're back in black, hitting the sack. It's good to know that. It's good to know that they're glad to be back.
Yeah. This is definitely welcome news in wake of the passing of Van Halen, and is also confirmation, as if we needed any, that rock, in AC/DC's words, is never gonna die. Rock, it's bigger than all of us, it's bigger than any one person, it's bigger than any group of people, any race, ethnicity, it's bigger than anything. It's a spirit that we all can embody and enjoy, and it brings people together, which is awesome. So, this announcement comes as a relief to any anxious fans anxious about the band's future, as many of the staple members from the early years, Bon Scott notwithstanding, of course, have returned or chosen to remain with the band. Bassist Cliff Williams originally intended to retire after a recent bout of touring, but decided to remain with the band. Brian Johnson has returned as well, following his absence due to hearing concerns. Drummer Phil Rudd is also concerned, replacing Chris Slade, who had been with the band from 89 to 94, and from 2015 to 2020, before Phil Rudd returned.
I listened to AC/DC. This song was a really good welcome.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's not something that blows you away, but it's like, yeah, that they still sound like this after that many years is quite amazing. Malcolm Young's position in the band is still occupied by his nephew, Stevie Young. As for the song Shot in the Dark that Scarfy was mentioning, I think it can best be summed up with this YouTube comment I saw. Said something to the effect of, you could tell me that this song was on any AC/DC album and I would believe you. AC/DC is not only timeless with their super successful rock formula. I mean, some may complain it's simplistic, but it works, and it is really good. But they sound as good as ever, and as good as they've ever sounded in the Brian Johnson era. This album will be released on Friday the 13th for Extra Evil this November, and this is one power-up that you won't want to miss. Get it? Ready, make it funny.
So one thing I want to bring up is that people compare, like, say that this could be released on any of these albums, and I would be convinced that it would be. It's like that with Rush music for many years, up until about like the mid 2000s, when you could tell that Geddy Lee's vocals were starting to. He couldn't go as high anymore, which that happens when you're fucking singing for 40 plus goddamn years. Actually, that was like the 2010s, I want to say. But again, it's like Rush music. They have their different eras and stuff, but you could still say it's like, hey, this Rush song came out today, and you could pinpoint it. It's like you could probably say it was a specific era, but you couldn't tell which album it was off of, and that's what I get. I get that vibe with this new AC/DC album coming out.
I think that's comparable to Judas Priest a little bit, because Halford never again will be able to sound exactly like he did on the Painkiller album. But
I agree.
He's when he does Painkiller live, you can tell he's like not as he still can do the pitch, but not with the same strength. But instead of like doing the screams at the end of the song, well, he did 2 screams and then he did whoa, did a death metal growl, and it's like, and you see Ian, the bass player, playing, and he's like, he gets this look like, wow, damn. So yeah, he's now not. I mean, he may have aged, but he's still giving it his all and kicking ass with vocals. And I think Brian Johnson is doing quite the same. He still sounds. He doesn't have the same like. It's not as congested, I guess, you sound of the voice. I mean, it doesn't sound like the same as it did on Thunderstruck and everything, but it's still his signature voice. And I mean. Basically, I listened to a brief interview of with Brian Johnson on Loudwire, and that he said, basically that Angus came in. He said he had like a bucket load of ideas. All the guys got together, and we just it really clicked. It came together, and we now have a new album.
Yeah. Well, I listened to. I actually listened to this. It wasn't. I actually listened to this off when it was when we didn't have the final agenda, and like Krüz just sent it to me, and I was like, huh. So I took a listen. And I'm like, it sounds like good old AC/DC, like back from the 70s and 80s. It sounds exactly like what it sounds like, and I actually really like what it has to offer. So, that's all I have to say regarding it. I can only hope that the band will continue on from here, even though they did lose they did lose their Cliff Williams, I believe, correct?
Yeah, they lost Malcolm.
Oh,
Cliff,
Malcolm. Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, Cliff was going to retire, but he decided against it.
Gotcha.
I think we covered, and this was why this intro was pulled off of the video, because I chose A Long Way to the Top If You Want to Rock and Roll when Malcolm Young passed, and we did cover that.
And then
copyright
happened.
Yeah, remember that? We had a copyright happen because apparently they didn't like us playing that song, so we're never playing that song ever again.
We're not playing songs that will get us fucked. But
nope.
Definitely do listen to this song. I think so. It was released at least on before I went to work. It was released in the morning, and by the end of the day, it had like 1.2 million views. I think it has like at least 3 million now.
Damn.
So yeah, I mean, people are happy to see this band is back again.
By the way, his name's Brian, not Brain.
Brain. Did I type Brain?
That's a Top Gear joke.
I was like, did I type Brain? I'm like, oh my god, I'm a fucking idiot.
All right, and that is.
They called me the Bran.
That is going to be it for our music this week. And before we get into video games, I do want to bring up a quick note, because at the end or during the video game section of last week's live stream, and then the VOD released Tuesday, I brought up that EA revealed was going to have an announcement for a Need for Speed title with the hashtag #beat510, because 510 is a thing with the cops and everything like that, and 510 being a time of one of the events in the game that was how did he beat this time? And all throughout the trailer, the teaser trailer, you see 5:10, or you hear it, and like that is that key thing. And before, like, it was officially revealed, you could see bits and pieces of road that were the same pieces of road featured on the cover of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010, which has been announced to get a remaster coming out in November. I will talk about it in more details when that's supposed to release. I'll only be talking about it once because it does have 2 release dates, because it is releasing for the Switch a week later than all the other versions. Want to get that out there. Right. I'll talk about that more in a couple weeks, but now we must move on to G.I. Joe.
Oh.
Operation Blackout.
Pork chop sandwiches! Get the fuck out of there!
Yeah.
Well, if you've waited 11 years for another console G.I. Joe game, here you are. A third-person shooter. It's pretty generic third-person shooter with elements of Sonic Adventure 2's story mode make for an interesting combination. I know a lot of people are interested in G.I. Joe from Hasbro. I've never been able to get into the franchise one way or another. Not even the live-action shitty movies.
They're
popcorn flicks, and that's it.
It was okay.
It was all right. It wasn't anything spectacular.
Nothing to write home about.
Yeah. And for me, this game does not seem like it's a good way to get into G.I. Joe. You can play as 12 characters from both the G.I. Joes and Cobra Command, hence the, hint of Sonic Adventure 2 story mode similarities, where you have the, the good story, the dark story, and then, I don't know if the two intertwine, but, however, Iguanabee, the developer, hasn't really made anything stellar in the past, so that's one thing already. And this also being published in North America by Game Bell Entertainment. Looking through their list of titles, oh no. Oh no. Oh no! I needed to do that to your ears. I'm sorry, I should have given you a volume warning.
Well, it wasn't even that loud, honestly.
Besides the advergaming in licensed and shovelware, whether it be licensed or unlicensed, Game Mill Entertainment published Big Rigs Over the Road Racing.
Oh shit!
While they were not developers, they published one of the worst games of all time.
Are we talking like Sonic 06 bad, or?
Do you not know the story of Big Rigs Over the Road Racing?
I cannot say I'm familiar with it. It sounds kind of like that, don't you saw the video, like that mountain rescue game the Game Grumps played that was so terrible, but it was so funny.
Oh, it's worse. Oh, it is so much worse. I will send you something after the show because you need to be educated about Big Rigs Over the Road Racing.
Here's the thing.
Wait. Didn't Angry Video Game Nerd review that game?
I usually stick to home consoles, and I
know
really
that.
do
that game. Yeah, I know. I know all about that game. Shit.
Mickey Mouse. And I typically don't use games for the new millennium. It's like this game came out in 2003, well after the pioneering days of video games, and with quality control and everything like that. And no. It got a rating from the ESRB. It shouldn't have been rated in the first place. But because the publisher of this game is also the publisher of Big Rigs Over the Road Racing, I'd stay as far the fuck away from as possible from this game.
Social distance from this one.
However, if you are interested, it releases on Windows, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox One on October 13th.
G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe!
I can only hope it's good.
Pork chop sandwiches.
It honestly...
I'm having a pork chop right now.
It honestly it looks pretty mediocre. Mediocre?
I mean, the intros, as terrible as it might well be, I will say that the trailer was pretty cool, but then, again, we have had letdowns before, but I wasn't as super into the G.I. Joe thing as a kid. I liked the figures and everything, but that was basically the extent of it. I didn't really know much beyond that, and I was more into Bionicles and Legos anyway, mostly Bionicle. And I had the video game, I had the Mask of Light video game on GameCube. I got the animated movie Mask of Light also.
I love Bionicle.
I just collected.
I wish they were still around.
I mean, I think they had the glory days, but it's good memories.
It was. Anyway, that's all I have to say regarding G.I. Joe. I took a look at the trailer. It looks cool, decent.
I was going to say that there are different ways in which a game can be bad. It can be bad by being either unplayable, in that there is something that definitively stops you from actually being able to play the game. Like, I'm talking about Sonic Heroes. Basically, they went through with the thing that if the bug doesn't break the game, then leave it in. And then there's ones that are just Sonic boring.
That's a lot of 3D Sonic games. If the bug doesn't break the game, leave it in.
It's fine. They won't notice. It's like, people noticed.
Anyway, I think we should move on. Sorry, I keep saying that word. I think we should move on to our next game, which was actually kind of surprising.
A very interesting looking title that, unfortunately, I probably will not be able to play unless it comes to Game Pass for Xbox/PC. It is Remothered, Broken Porcelain. With a name like Broken Porcelain, you think that this was a story about an orphan being put up for adoption again after accidentally breaking a toilet or a spark plug or something. Yes, both are made of porcelain. Porcelain is a specific type of ceramic. So, yes, spark plugs, like the housing, like...
Yeah, the white part of it.
Yeah, the white part of spark plugs, that is porcelain. That is the same material as toilet.
As toilet!
But I'm making a crude joke. This is actually a pretty interesting game. A survival horror game written and directed by Italian game artist and director Chris Darrell, with his studio Darrell Arts Publishing alongside Modus Games, and developed by Stormind Games. You've got an interesting recipe. This did win... I forgot if I mentioned this. It did win awards in Italy for Best Italian Video Game. If it wasn't last year, it was this year. So it's already got something going for it. Granted, it is the Italian Video Game Awards. But Jen has recently been expelled from Flemington Girls Institute, and she suffers an injury trying to escape the Ashman Inn, where she is wanting to serve as a maid. With help from another maid and friend Lynn, they learn about the manor's unsettling history, starting to witness oddities with residents, a haunting figure swoosing in the halls, and an ominous presence from inside the hotel. They must escape from their prison within the truth. Is this just a weird, fucked up version of the Velvet Room? And their lives. There's also a side plot as well, but because I'm actually pretty intrigued by this game. Yes. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to really talk about it more because I feel like this is something you really need to experience for yourself.
I agree.
This is dropping for Windows PCs, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 on October 13th.
So I was looking at this trailer, and I'm actually kind of surprised that this game was actually made in Italy, of all places. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with, a country making a game that appeals to everyone, but damn. Out of all the places to make a video game, Italy's the one. So.
I think you get more of a perspective for it when you see something like RKG, a small channel I like to shout out, relatively small, I guess, rather. But they did a video where they play tested games from various EU countries, including Hungary. One of them, the Hungarian one, was like a noir, kind of like noir detective thing, but it's mostly text adventure, but it was like a cool idea. People have animal heads and such. But there are a wide variety of games from various countries that most of them are probably smaller games, but this really, through the trailer, struck me as very much like Until Dawn, in its kind of aesthetic, and I don't know, probably not like playstyle, but they showed actual gameplay in this trailer, and I like it. It looks good, but I'm Yeah. I'll look into getting it, I guess. We'll see. Maybe on Switch, but see how it goes. It does look pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm all for
looks
horror
like fun
games.
too. I agree.
All
right.
Now we move on to something completely different. Hold on, I accidentally left the 6 in here. I don't need to do that, but Torchlight 3. 6 being the numpad key that I use to transition from slide to slide.
Gotcha.
An action RPG developed by Etra Games, taking the torch from Runic Games, that was formed after Flagship Studios closed in 2008. Flagship was already developing a game called Mythos, and then once Torchlight, when fucking Runic Studios came about, it was redeveloped into Torchlight. So, this series has changed hands a couple times throughout the years. Torchlight 3 is an action RPG where the player controls a character in a high fantasy world. From an isometric top-down view, using hack and slash, it's a hack and slash kind of move system with weapons, spells, and skills to fight monsters, collect items and treasure, and sell and buy items in a centralized hub, town, to improve the character's abilities. Torchlight 3 was supposed to be developed as Torchlight Frontiers, initially a MMO game, introducing large surface levels that allows players to join together to fight monsters that respawn over time and travel between primary dungeons, many of which were procedurally generated. So RNG dungeons, I kind of like that. I always like that.
Yeah, that seems
Kind of sounds like Monster
It
Hunter.
keeps players
a little bit.
on their toes. To balance players' overall abilities, the game would have used item-based experience levels rather than player-based levels. Players with high-level items entering a dungeon with lower-level players would have their items temporarily weakened to lower levels within the dungeon. With a change to Torchlight 3, the game is expected to have a more linear approach as from the first 2 Torchlight games, but will support both offline and online play. Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One versions all release on October 13th, whereas the Switch version is announced, but we don't know a release date for that.
Okay. I was looking at it. It kind of looks like I don't want to demean the game in any way, but it does kind of look like something out of Blizzard. And I know. Fuck Blizzard, I get it, but nonetheless. It does kind of look like one of those games where I feel like it'll attract MMO players, but hey. It looks interesting to say the least. I don't know if I'll pick it up, but I do love RPGs, so yeah, that's all I have to say.
I'm not as much into the. It was just by virtue of just not getting into the kind of game, but I mean, I do see the trailers. I'm like, sure, that looks cool. It'd be cool if I played that, and then I just forget about it, and that's on me. I'm just like, oh, that's cool, and then I couldn't tell you anything about it like 10 seconds later. But
Yeah.
I do like the idea of like having these kinds of games, but it seems like there's so many of them, and they're all at like 3 or 4 or 5, and I'm like, do I have to go back and play like the first one?
I don't know if the story carries over from other games, but that's pretty much it. That's the stinger for pretty much it. That YouTube channel / movie commentary and TV show commentary.
Pretty much it.
But we move on to another annual EA Sports title, but it isn't hot shit. NHL 21. I mean,
Let's go, Caps!
there's not really too much to say because it's another annual EA Sports title. However, it's not microtransaction infested like Madden or FIFA, so that's good. It actually has something going for it.
Wait. I just thought of something. Hold on, you look at the chat.
Oh, you're looking at the thing you invited me to last night.
Not that chat. Our chat. Sorry.
Oh.
Yes, because Seattle is the crack house is opening.
The crack house.
Yeah, I mean, granted, you kind of had to see this coming. People were gonna call it that.
Yeah. If you do pre-order NHL 21, you do get the bonus NHL 94 Rewind. because in my opinion, NHL 94 is one of the best classics of the NHL franchise. Can you believe there's been 30 installments of the NHL franchise?
I mean, if they make one, assumedly every year,
yes, pretty
you
much.
maybe multiple versions, I guess. I mean, I think one of the cases was like Madden. One of the versions of Madden was released for that year, but then they also released like Madden 25 as like an anniversary edition kind of thing. They were two separate games, but like
no, they weren't though. They were the same. They was
I
just
know,
one game, I think.
Basic, but they're two separate units of games. I know the thing is that basically they're rehashing the same game. Basically, all they're doing is making the AI smarter.
Yeah, it's called a patch.
More realistic.
It's called a $20 patch. There you go.
Yeah, but that doesn't make money. That's not the EA way. You gotta think big.
If you get the Great 8 edition, named after a cover star Alex Ovechkin,
you
get 3 days of early access gameplay. The worldwide release will drop for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on October 18th and will be backwards/forwards compatible on both PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S and X units when those consoles come out. Quick note about PlayStation 5. Sony has confirmed that currently only 10 out of 4,000 plus PlayStation 4 games will not be backwards compatible. And
that's pretty good ratio.
There's nothing really of note that PlayStation 5 players will miss out on for
Farming Simulator.
It's not Farming Sim though. It's,
Is there like a
only
list
game
of what games will not be compatible?
It's there.
there's
I need to
10.
look up this list, but it's literally nothing too notable. So,
I think they're probably just not compatible because no one cared to make them compatible. That's probably a good thing for those games.
So the full list of games that are not compatible with PlayStation 5 are DWVR. No idea what that is. Afro Samurai 2: Revenge of Kuma Volume 1. TT's Tourist Trophy, Isle of Man, Ride on the Edge 2, which I find odd. Just Deal With It. Shadow Complex Remastered. Robinson the Journey, We Sing, Hitman Go Definitive Edition, Shadwen, and Joe's Diner.
Yeah,
These seem like very obscure games.
Those are very obscure games.
Yeah. And a quick note, I believe they have detailed if you have a digital copy of the game, you can just download it on your PS5. You're good to go. Your save will transfer and everything, or it should transfer. And that's if you have a digital-only PlayStation 5. Like, this is one thing that I'm not a huge fan of, is if you get the digital version, or like the discless version of one of these two systems, you're not able to play your physical media games. Which, for me, I still like buying physical media from time to time. It depends on what game it is. Like, if I were to get a Series S, I wouldn't be able to play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2, wouldn't be able to play Skyrim Special Edition, Fallout 4.
That's what I was wondering yesterday.
But if you have if you get the next-gen consoles with the disc drive, you can pop in your disc, it'll install like normal, your save should transfer over from the cloud, and that's... you've been given some knowledge about the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series consoles.
We'll talk about that later.
Just had a little bit of a dip there.
That's
just a tiny little bit.
Because I have discs, and I didn't know if I could get the Series S or anything.
I noticed in your audio, but continue.
Yeah. It's why
the only reason I'm not going to get it, but the only reason I would consider getting it is because of Alex Ovechkin, and I'm a big Caps fan.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but it's still playable.
Awesome to see him on the cover
PS4.
and Lamar Jackson on the Madden cover. Hopefully, Madden curse will not happen.
Which is
the thing is, I wasn't sure if I could get like the save data I have from other games.
You'll
like
be able to.
Would that work for one?
Because the save data will save onto your system as well as the cloud, whether you have a disc copy or not. So that's good. Oh, cool. Thanks, Discord. Thanks, Discord, for just disconnecting and reconnecting me. OBS didn't disconnect, though. But everybody was able to hear my voice. This is why I record these.
Yes. Anyway, do we have anything else to say?
About NHL 21? No.
Not really.
About the next title, it's an interesting endeavor, Nintendo. I'll give you that. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it plays out for them.
Mm-hmm.
October 16th will see the release of a very interesting endeavor from Nintendo. An augmented reality version of Mario Kart with RC cars as the main focus. As it is the focus. Talk about toys to life, am I right?
Yeah.
RC carts have cameras on top of them that look like they're cockpit cameras for open wheel series like F1 or IndyCar. So that's pretty cool. You control the cart by using the Switch Joy-Cons, and I would hope a Pro Controller if you're playing on a TV.
I would hope.
It kind of might be distracting if you see the car just moving around you a little bit, but I don't know, you maybe go to another room.
Focus on the TV or your Switch if you're playing in handheld mode. The courses are what you make of them. There are 4 checkpoint banners included with the... This is physical only. You can only download... you would be able to download the software on the eShop, but you need all the gear to go with it to make it work, or else you just spent $20 for useless software.
Yeah.
As well as 2 arrow sign boards and a Mario or Luigi cart, because there's a Mario version of this and a Luigi version of this. Coins are used to unlock new outfits and new carts, basically what the carts look like on your screen. I don't know if they have any different performance, because these are all charged via USB-C, so that's nice. The Switch is USB-C. A lot of Android smartphones nowadays are USB-C. Even the charging ports on the MacBooks are now USB-C, I believe.
I think so, yeah. All right.
But the cool thing about this is it's basically a real-life version of Hot Wheels Stunt Track Driver, and that's a trip back to the 90s, because the whole premise of... Was
that one on PC? Because
yes, it was on PC.
I think I had that game. I played that. I woke up at a crack of dawn every morning to play that game, or one of those games. You could build your own tracks.
You could build your own tracks, but it was basically full motion video. Some kid got the biggest deal with Mattel ever, and got shitloads of Hot Wheels track. I'm going over a game from 1996, but basically a kid. A Hot Wheels semi-truck comes to his house, drops off a whole bunch of Hot Wheels stuff on his front door.
Yeah, is that the intro video?
Yeah, it's the intro
yeah, I remember.
And builds all this crazy shit in his house, in his backyard and everything like that.
That's fantastic.
And everything's full motion video, and you're just basically controlling the car. That's why I'm saying it's a real-life version of Stunt Track Driver.
Yeah.
Just place the checkpoint gates, drive the course you want to drive, and you got yourself a race course. You place the checkpoint gate, like I said. Now add in some obstacles like books, pencils, Hot Wheels, etc., and you've got yourself a big racetrack in your home. Hardwood floors only, because that's all they showed off in the trailers, and that makes sense because RC cars do not like carpet unless they have big tires.
Carpet does not like them either.
I was trying to look up at the prices on Amazon, but they're going to be about $100 per set. So for one set of this, it'll be $100. If you wanted 4 players, that's $400. It's like getting Game Boy Advance capture cards and link cables to record Kirby and the Amazing Mirror for the Runaway guys. Because I believe they never disclosed the price, but it was several $100s to get that.
Jesus, that's way too much.
Yeah.
Well, if you do know the cost, which I just told you, it's $100, or have one ordered already, it drops October 16th. A Nintendo Switch or Switch Lite is required to drive the carts and use the software. So, what do you have to say about it?
Well, I know that it was something. I know that you were looking at it and you were very interested because I know you like cars and I know you like Mario Kart, and I immediately assume, well, this is something Naka will really like. Only to hear the naked truth that you said, oh yeah, it only works for hardwood floors, which I have none. Unless I could somehow make it work.
Because the hardwood flooring in my house is only on the main floor downstairs, and a lot of it and like 50% of it is hallways, or
Yeah.
actually it's like 70% of it is hallways, and then the other 30% is taken up by the kitchen and like the kitchen room table, which has a carpet underneath it. So I have nowhere to use this in my house.
I mean, I probably could, but there's also we have hardwood floors, but there's a lot of carpets. There are smooth carpets, but then there's tile in the kitchen that's like little bumps and things that might not work. It is not going to work for every home, and I think there is a point to this, even though it's a little niche. But I mean, people have been spending a lot more time at home. So I mean, it's kind of like make your home into something fun. Sure, go ahead. It's like for anyone who wants to get it. And yeah, the Hot Wheels stunt racer, that one you're just driving along the track, in like the backyard while that surf music plays. That takes me back. That was like I think the first video game I ever actually played.
Yeah, that was one of the first video games that I played alongside Need for Speed 3 and High Stakes.
I think I got it with a pack of games, and I think the other one was Hot Wheels Crash.
Hot Wheels Crash, most likely, or Stunt Truck Driver 2, Getting Dirty.
Yeah, it was the Crash one where you just make shit blow up. That was fun.
But, yes, that is it for video games this week. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get that sent over to the next thing, do that, and Scarfy, take it away with some news. I got to take my dog out real quick because it's been over 2 hours since he last went out, and it's just me at the house. Yeah. There is a Seahawks game going on, but you wouldn't know that because my dad's not screaming at the TV. So I'm going to go take my dog out really quick. Scarfy, go ahead, take it away with this news. I will post it, and then I got a book for a few minutes.
Oh, no. Take all the time you need. Well, guys, in a stunning turn of events, or perhaps somewhat predictable response to the current pandemic, Regal had announced earlier this week on Monday that they would close up shop on all their movie theaters. This close is, however, temporary, but we do not know if this strictly means going out of business. I apologize. What is likely for the closure was the delay. What is likely for the closure was the delay to the next Bond film, No Time to Die, which was delayed from April to November of this year. However, since the pandemic has not let up, the film was delayed further to now April 2021, which, again, with hardly any guarantee that theaters will be open by that time. With the delay of this film, it's safe to say that the movie theaters are officially finished for the rest of this year, as it was the final nail in the coffin of shooting down the theory of movie theaters to possibly reopen for the holiday season. Usually when a company shuts down, it's for reasons that you have to search for. It's not easily accessible, but in this case, everyone knows why it's closing. I'll take a quote from one of my professors. When we're entering a movie theater, as the lights go out and the audiences remain silent, we are dreaming. We are dreaming in the dark with strangers and opening our minds to wonders that we will never see the same way again. Unfortunately, this has ultimately turned in a nightmare that none of us knows when it's going to wake up from. Regal has shut down, but who's next? AMC? Alamo Drafthouse? Cinemark? Only time will tell. Regal remains in cooperation for now, but how long? We'll unfortunately have to wait and see.
I think some of the, at least trailers for some other things say in theaters, but I don't know what exactly that's supposed to mean. At least not in Regal theaters. And that kind of, the bit about dreaming in the dark is kind of like, there's a moment still, like right when the movie starts, like, oh, there's this excitement that you get.
Yeah.
Right. There's a song by Hammerfall called One Against the World that kind of taps into that. One of the first lines is, as the lights go down, it's time to heed the call. It's kind of like everyone gets that moment when like the kind of whatever, usually they just play other like rock and metal songs, like whenever that goes off and then all the house lights come down, like there's like that feeling of like, oh yeah, it's about to start. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of a comparable thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't really know if theaters are kind of harder to get to be safe at, I guess. Or, well, I mean, concert venues, of course, are much harder. But I'm not sure. Like, if Regal, I don't know if they have enough, you know, if they have someone or something to bail them out, or have enough, you know, cash on hand to just kind of eat or take the hit for now. But movie theaters, and I know you know this among all people, that movie theaters have taken a huge hit in the pandemic. And that was a big source of entertainment, and a lot of it, you know, still a strong.
It's been 6 months since I've been to a movie theater, and I will have to say I'm kind of sad. I am actually kind of sad because I love going to the movies, and I feel sad that I can't really go right now, you know, and so you know I don't know when they're going to reopen. I can only hope soon, because this year was basically canceled. Let's just be real here.
Yeah, it canceled after the spring. Summer was canceled, at least foreseeable for the rest of the year. I mean, sports were canceled from large part, and I mean, even now, there's some COVID issues with the NFL Tennessee Titans. Yeah, I mean, I think the league that managed best was probably the NHL, because they had all the Eastern teams play in a bubble, all the Western teams play in a bubble, and then they moved the bubble, or they just chose one of those two pre-existing bubbles to host the finals in. And as you know, the Lightning beat the Dallas Stars. I was kind of rooting for the Stars because I like Pantera, and they use Pantera as their goal song. But you know, the Lightning kind of deserve it after, you know, getting, you know, embarrassed.
Congratulations, Stars.
Swept by Columbus. But yeah, congratulations.
So, Naka, what do you have to say regarding this piece of news that I just read out?
Open up the goddamn drive-in theaters, you jackasses.
They don't want to do it because they know they're not making as much money. That's why.
Yeah, you know what? They can actually recoup some dollars by opening up drive-in theaters. Everybody's already social distance because they're gathered together in their fucking cars.
Yeah. And
everybody's already spread out because, you know, cars, they're big and they take a lot of space to get places.
Yeah, there is.
It's literally, you could be shitting money if you just opened up drive-in theaters.
Well, not really shitting money, but recuperating some of the losses.
And
but
you could still hire people and pay your employees, not furloughing them, because they'd actually still be able to work something and get some money and not have to rely off of, you know, bullshit politicians who don't actually care about their citizens. But that's another story for another day. We need to talk about a movie, ironically enough, skipping theaters, because A, half of them are closed, and B, nobody's going to them in the first place right now.
Yeah. Well, are we going to talk about it?
Yes, I was transitioning into it.
All right. Well, it seems that Disney has made an executive decision, and a huge one at that. Pixar's latest film, Soul, will be releasing on Disney Plus as opposed to theaters. However, unlike Mulan 2020, the film will be released for free with your paid subscription, which, in all honesty, controversy aside, this is what Mulan 2020 should have done in the first place. $200 million is a lot of money for a film budget, and a lot of money for a film budget. And the fact that Disney didn't do that in the first place simply because the cost of production was so high is a little bit of a crapshoot on their part, considering that reports indicated that they only made up to $300 to $400 million in gross revenue. Which is a bit sad, especially since the film did not make $1 billion. To think that some people under smarter circumstances, would pay $29.99 on top of their paid subscription just to see a live-action remake is both damning and asinine. But it seems that Disney is at the
shit.
But it seems that Disney is at the very least being smart about their next supposed biggest release. And Pixar has a habit of making really good material. The film will...
That they do.
Pardon me. The film will release for free on, get this, December 25th, Christmas Day on Disney+. I guess you can say this is their Christmas gift to us for having to wait out one of the most boring, slow, arduous, and financially destitute years we've ever lived through. But hey, I can't wait for the chance to see it on Disney+. We'll go into more detail about Soul when we get closer to its release. What do you have to say regarding this film, Naka?
Well, I mean,
regarding
we can't
this
really.
news.
Yeah, first of all, film's not even out yet. I don't know.
I meant to say news. Sorry.
I mean, this is how they should have done Mulan in the first place, because Mulan, because Disney is literally taking China's dick so far up the ass that it's coming out of their mouth. The only reason why it made any money whatsoever is because of, the Chinese government thinking, yeah, let's open up our movie theaters and not actually talk about our pandemic numbers, because we're China. We're king of the world, even though...
and on top of that, let's choose an actress that is supportive of our country.
I mean, to be fair, if you want to work in China, you pretty much have to say those things to even think about working in China. So I'm going to call that an 80-20.
Yeah.
But Disney, you're
fuck the CCP.
Fucking
also.
morons. If we go too far on China, they're just going to take us down again. I don't want to deal with that shit.
You're not going to take us down.
But yeah, Disney, this is what you should have done with poo on my lawn in the first place.
Poo on my lawn. Christoph's gonna take a shit on your fucking lawn.
Are you making a Winnie the Pooh reference?
Well, we're in deep shit now.
It was a poop joke, but this is what you should have done in the first place, Disney. It's good to see that you're learning.
I mean, I'm glad that we're going to be able to see this movie on Christmas Day, because that's really important, and I really like Christmas. So but anyway, are you happy that you get to see this movie technically for free as long as you have a subscription, Naka?
I mean, I'm indifferent because I don't use Disney Plus that often.
Would you use it for Christmas just to watch this movie?
Maybe.
All right. Well,
I mean, my friend, because we wanted to watch Star Wars Clone Wars series, and my friend was generous enough to let me have his login info. I haven't used it since then, but if it means a chance to see, a movie come out like this, I'm sure. I don't remember the last time I saw the trailer, but I do think it looked pretty good. It's about music, and genuinely, I mean, movies have been. Movies about music, I do like them. I mean, we enjoyed Whiplash, among others. Mm-hmm. Not my fucking tempo.
Yeah.
Adrenaline starts to flow. You're thrashing all around.
I was
acting like a maniac. Dick rash.
Dick? Do you say Dick Rash?
Because James Hetfield actually. I believe James Hetfield did say that in the Seattle '89 recording.
I mean, that's kind of, you might not think that it's, it's not, that's unsurprising considering the Kill 'Em All album was originally going to be called Metal Up Your Ass, but the record label was strangely not okay with that. I can't imagine why, but it was changed to Kill 'Em All.
Yeah. But,
true story.
It's, at least they're doing the right things. Like, hey, Merry Christmas, fuckface. Here, you pay for our shit. Here's a free movie.
Free with an asterisk.
Because you know that Disney actually doesn't care about their consumers. They say they do, but they really don't.
No.
Right.
No.
But...
Bleh.
Speaking of movies on streaming services, we must now move on to. Do I have this copy and pasted yet? No, I don't. Fuck. Okay, now we do. We must now move on to A Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting, available on Netflix soon.
Yes. I apologize. The Halloween spoofs continue with A Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting, which is an upcoming American comedy horror film directed by Rachel Talalay and distributed by Netflix. The film was written by Joe Ballerini and is based on the 3-part book trilogy of the same name. It stars Tom Felton, India Moore, Tamara Smart, and Una Lawrence. Adapted from the book of the same name, the story follows a babysitter named Kelly Ferguson who must embark on a mission to find the child in her care who has been kidnapped by the boogeyman. During his mission...
Or Rob Zombie, it looks like.
Right. During this mission, she discovers that a secret society of children protecting babysitters exists, as do an entire world of monsters, which she must fight. This is a film that I think would interest a lot of kids, considering that the film is just directed by the same person who directed Tank Girl, which Zach really enjoys.
Excuse me?
Yeah, Zach really enjoys.
No, repeat the title of the movie again, please.
Tank Girl?
This is a film that I think would interest a lot of kids, considering that the film...
I'm sorry for interrupting, but can you please repeat the title of the movie that you just mentioned?
What?
Tank Girl?
Tank Girl?
Yes.
Wasn't that something in Jimmy Neutron?
That, because I thought you said something else, and I don't want to think about that because it reminds me of another movie that Netflix recently put out that I will not mention because it is fucking disgusting and pedophilia.
No, I know exactly what you're referring to.
You know what I'm talking about, and if you don't, good. Keep it that way.
Yeah. Anyway, not quite sure how to feel about this film, but the fact that it should keep kids keep kids and possible adults happy, that the film is coming out on Halloween is at the very least rewarding. The film will be released on Netflix on October 15th. That's really all I have to say regarding this film. Thoughts, opinions?
They said, well, it's not coming on Halloween. Well, I guess you said, but whatever. You could watch it on Halloween.
Yeah, you could. I mean, depending on where you live, trick-or-treating may or may not happen, so you got something else to do.
I mean,
there's, trick-or-treating probably can safely say not really going to happen. I mean, there is the event that's supposed to happen in Animal Crossing, so I mean, there's that, and you can visit other people's islands there, so that's that. I liked, the one thing I did like about this trailer was the boogeyman himself. I didn't know if he was called the boogeyman, but I liked the character of that. It was like very like he was almost kind of like was it Alice Cooper in his like showmanship kind of like vibe and everything, like trying to be like being evil but like in a cool way. I don't know, but not really something I find that interesting. I mean, it kind of lost me after the girl pulled up in the motorcycle and it's like, I'm a babysitter, and she pulls out a card and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? But I mean, probably geared towards a younger audience, I guess. It's probably for parents to show their kids too.
It seems like it's just going to be one of those, it's more of a kid-friendly, scary movie, like other movies that I'm forgetting the names of, but you know the movies that I'm talking about, right?
Maybe like
Halloween Town. Is that a movie franchise?
Halloween Town? I don't know.
I mean, it's a Disney Channel movie franchise, but that I don't really
again, it's more geared towards kids. Don't know really of any other movies that aren't nightmare fuel. With really, really very, very, oh my god, who animated this animation?
You mean like Courage?
No, not Courage the Cowardly Dog. God, no, that's great.
You mean Godmother?
Yes, the one that Scarfy just mentioned, yes.
Scary Godmother.
The beady eyes. That was what I mean is the monsters and stuff from Courage are like the things of nightmares, but the animation of the Scary Godmother, like I didn't really think about it at the time, but like now that I look back on it, I've looked back on it somewhat recently, and it's like this is horrible. This is horrifying. Not horrible, but like scary. The eyes are just so small in their faces, and it's like they're all black circles. I'm like, what? Who made this?
Fun fact: did you know that Did you know that it actually has Tom Felton in this movie, and Tom Felton is Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter?
Interesting. Does he like toothpaste and fire?
I don't know.
But
he plays the boogeyman. But hey,
anyway, I do have a bit for this next one. Oh no! Giant flying sheep!
all right.
Those are clouds. No! Clouds on Disney Plus.
It's finally time to look at the sequel to 5 Feet Apart. But in all honesty, what do you expect from every teen drama film ever made?
Garbage.
Clouds.
I'd like to point out that in the trailer of 5 Feet Apart, in the trailer, they consistently say 6 feet apart. I'm like, get your shit together, fucking teen drama dumpster fire bullshit.
Clouds is an upcoming American musical drama film directed and produced by Justin Baldoni and written by Cara Holden from a story by Holden, Patrick Kopka, and Casey Lascala. It is based on the memoir Fly a Little Higher, How God Answered a Mom's Small Prayer in a Big Way by Laura Sobiech. The film stars Finn Argus, Sabrina Carpenter, Madison Eisman, Neve Campbell, Tom Everett Scott, and Lo Ray Howery. 17-year-old Zach Sobiech is a fun-loving high school senior with raw musical talent, but a few weeks into his senior year, just after asking his longtime crush, Zach's world turns upside down when he finds out his cancer has spread, leaving him with a life expectancy of just 6 months. With the limited time he has left, he and his best friend and writing partner Sammy decide to follow their dreams and finally make an album. Little do they know they'll soon become a viral music phenomenon, but with time running out, Zach is confronted with the reality that no matter how he spends his time, he's going to hurt the people he loves most, including Amy, the love of his life. He is left to make difficult decisions about how to spend his time and, more importantly, with whom. Ultimately, he discovers the best way to say goodbye is with music, and his hit song Clouds is born. With an unfiltered, heartbreaking, and beautiful look at the duality of life set to uplifting music, Zach's inspiring story is a testament to what can happen when you start to live as if each day might be your last. As I hinted before, the film is directed by Justin Baldoni, who directed 5 Feet Apart, with average reviews. I guess if they called it 6 feet apart, we would have gotten something better. I don't have much to say about Baldoni, but he seems to be doing what he enjoys and what he's directing, and that's all fine and good. There's no reason to not feel bad about doing what you love. Personally, and particularly for me, I have no reason to go see this movie, if only because it seems like every other soapy sad teen drama ever made, and I'm kind of getting a little tired of that. But hey, at least it's something we can all take the time to appreciate. It's being made celebrating someone's life, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not a movie I personally would like to see. The film releases on Disney Plus on October 16th. And that's really all I have to say. Naka, Krüz.
Yeah, it's just some sappy teen drama that you'd see on the Disney Channel. Also, I was going to make a joke in there, but I felt like, no, I'm not going to. And yeah. I can't remember what the joke is now, so I mean, I guess you could say that this is Fade to Black. Life, it seems, will fade away, drifting further every day. Yeah. Deathly lost within myself, nothing matters, no one else. I have lost the will to live, simply nothing more to give. Now there's nothing left of me. I need the end to set me free. I could go on.
Yeah.
Anyway, Krüz, you have anything to say regarding this person or this film?
The point I wanted to hit on was kind of said, but it's like ever since The Fault in Our Stars, which I've still not seen because I refuse to get into that soppy bullshit of like, oh no, you're gonna die. It's like, yeah, sure, fuck cancer and fuck it's just like it's a horrible thing to have to go through. But I mean, you're just making this sappy drama out of it, which is like, I think it's just no, just stop. I don't just stop. No one wanted this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, but it was a good book though. Shut up, fuck you. I just don't know. Same story, same old song and dance. You can't tell me otherwise that this is not this. Basically, what is it? Like Fault in Our Stars, 5 or 6 feet apart, whatever. In this same plot, same fucking movie. Someone has cancer. They have a love interest. They're conflicted. Like
you've heard this story before. It's not
rinse and repeat. Nothing new.
The
Nothing
Fault in Our
innovative.
Stars. I think you mean the Salt in Our Farts.
Salt in Our Farts. If you have salty farts, you may want to see a doctor.
Anyway, do we want to move on to possibly the best film?
To our final and actually good movie. I'm not.
The one that's actually a movie.
I'm gonna give a Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting. I didn't mean to say like to our only good movie, because that's meant to be a fun kind of cheesy movie, and it's meant for kids. I'm not gonna shit on a movie for kids unless it's terrible.
Anyway,
but we move on to a good and actually more serious movie about about serious topics. So
and today
I'm gonna shut the fuck up and let Scarfy have the floor.
Yeah. In today of modern politics, it seems like this is the perfect film that needs to be given as to how much shit right now is going on in the world, which makes perfect sense as to why a film like this has been made. The Trial of the Chicago 7 is a 2020 American historical legal drama film written and directed by Aaron Sorkin. It features an ensemble cast that includes Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Sacha Baron Cohen, Daniel Flaherty, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think it's Levitt. Michael Keaton, Frank Langella, Jean Carroll Lynch, Eddie Redmayne, Noah Robbins, Mark Rylance, Alex Sharp, and Jeremy Strong. Based on the true events that happened in U.S. history, the story takes place in 1968 Chicago. The Democratic Party convention was met with protests from activists like the Modern Students for a Democratic Society, led by Tom Hayden, and the Militant Yippies, led by Abby Hoffman and Jeremy Rubin, which led to violent confrontations with the local authorities. As a result, 7 of the accused ringleaders are arraigned on charges like conspiracy by the hostile Nixon administration, including Bobby Seale of the Black Panthers, who was not involved in the incident. And what follows is an unfair trial presided by the belligerent Judge Hoffman, no relation, and prosecuted by a reluctant but duty-bound Richard Schultz. As their pro bono lawyers face such odds, Hayden and his fellows are frustrated by the Yippies' outrageous antics, undermining their defense in the defiance of the system, even while Seale is denied a chance to defend himself his way. Along the way, the Chicago 7 clash in the political philosophies, even as they learn they need each other in this fight. The film is directed by Aaron Sorkin, one of the most prolific writers in Hollywood, writing films such as A Few Good Men, The American President, The Social Network, Moneyball, Molly's Game, and which he also directed, and the hit TV and the hit HBO TV series The Newsroom. So you can see he has it pretty made. He knows how to write a coherent story, even if some would say one film of work is not as good as the other one. The writing is the spine of the film. You can't have a film without a good story. Aaron Sorkin knows exactly how to write, and he certainly knows how to direct. I'm very excited for this movie. I completely missed it by accident and had to look up what was going on while I was going through trailers, which we'll get to that when we get to that. But this film is very important, and I hope that it can give me the best pleasure that I can get from it. It has a lot of A-list actors in here, like a lot. Like Sacha Baron Cohen and Eddie Redmayne, aren't they technically British? What are they doing in an American film? That's so interesting. So I can only hope the film will do well. The film will release on October 16th on Netflix and possible select theaters near you. So,
you did bring up it's based off of true events. And,
yeah,
typically I'm like, haha, funny. It's based off true events and it's like some weird, fun story or whatever. This is serious shit we're dealing with here, folks.
Yeah,
it's an actual true event.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, whenever there's stuff like this, there's going to be elements that are dramatized, for the sake of it being in a movie. It's not a documentary. This is a movie. And I do fully expect to see that. And I didn't know about this at all because I was never told about this because, teachers in public schools only tell you what the schools and like what the local government wants you to hear. They don't want you to hear the truth.
Yeah.
And sure, there's going to be things that are changed in this movie to make it more movie-like,
and dramatic.
And over-dramatic. But at the end of the day, I hope that the message and like the actual events that did happen, that this movie is based off of, actually stick in people's heads.
I mean, look at what's going on right now.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, we have protests all over the place. I mean,
for different reasons, but also you got to think the climate at the time. And I have took a class on Vietnam War. The political climate at the time was very, very like there was a lot of back and forth and how people were pissed off at both parties, and that neither one seemed to have a coherent option or plan to end the war, even though Vietnamization under the Nixon administration was an attempt at that, even though he was also the one who bombed Cambodia. So, I mean, it seemed like nothing was going anywhere. So people were fed up with it, and they took to the protest. Took to the protest. That's a word. You know what? Let's leave it at that. I do appreciate a historical piece of work. I feel like the timing of this was also kind of like, it's a little on the nose, and I mean, like, I don't like either party, but it's kind of like how they tried to frame the Purge as being like, about current president and being like, oh, he was to hate these people and all this. I'm like, I mean, if I wanted to hear that, I'd go to Twitter, because that's where all the stuff is. That's where all the shit talking is. But this looks more coherently made, and you did say is quite impressive list of actors. It looks genuinely like a good, compelling movie. Even if it's just on Netflix, I'll probably go give it a watch at some point. American history was... I'm more focused on European history, but there are significant events in American history that kind of get highlighted by this. I saw the movie Detroit. It was really good. About an incident at a Detroit hotel with like some band. And also I really liked also Selma and Marshall. Marshall, about Thurgood Marshall and his case before, and this was before, it was like the same framing as Selma. It's like before the March on Washington, there was Selma, Alabama, and before Brown versus Board of Education, there was Thurgood Marshall, and like it was a case. He was defending someone who was accused of rape, even though that it was revealed that they had a consensual affair, but they still wanted to kind of frame it as something else. But yeah, I thought that was the late Chad Boseman and Josh Gad. They did an excellent job, and it looks like they've got another good cast here.
Yeah, and I did a little bit of research about, the trial of the Chicago 7, this movie, because it's Chicago in 1968. It's the Democratic National Convention is going on in Chicago. Keep in mind, in 68, it was still like peak Vietnam War, and this was less than 5 months after Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. So there's already huge political unrest going on in America. And then you add on demilitarization protests and calls for soldiers to be brought back home. You can understand why this is such a significant event in history, yet why the fuck do we not hear about this in history classes, in U.S. history classes? Because it's shit like this that really, really needs to be taught in schools. And I'm not just in, a part of this is, as much as I like the Call of Duty Black Ops because, it's set in the Cold War and everything like that, and it gives me, I don't know, it's that weird thing because I like the original Call of Duty Black Ops because it's also in the Vietnam War era, but also I hate the Vietnam War because of how brutal the Viet Cong were with guerrilla warfare, ambushes, all that kind of shit. So much so that, every now and then my grandpa still has nightmares about it. And due to exposure because of American incompetence, like Agent Orange, in the long term, left him and has left him in a nursing home and is paralyzed now because of negligence by the U.S. government. And,
I think...
you
what
were
Zach
able,
is writing.
It's just... I could go into detail about why I think the Vietnam War was a giant fucking mistake, but that is not... This is not the time or the place. Yeah. And Kyle, you came in on a little bit of a serious subject.
Yeah,
and,
but...
unfortunately, also, we're leaning towards the end of our show. But, Krüz, you have something to say?
I think the way it appeared to me from taking the course of the Vietnam War, it seems that initially it wasn't something that we wanted to be involved in, and it went from some advisors to more advisors to sending actual trainers to sending troops. It just seemed like a slow boil, but eventually got to a point where it's like, well, we're pretty deep in the shit now, so we can't just up and pack up and leave because South Vietnam, there are a lot of people depending on us, but there's also a lot of people against us. So there's a lot of moral ambiguity involved in the whole thing. From, again, not to say this phrase, but from both sides, a lot of, the Viet Cong would burn down villages and torture people to get information on the other side, as would the South Vietnamese and Americans. So it was a conflict a lot of people just wanted to see the end to, but there was no clear answer as to how to get them to get people out of it. And meanwhile, you have the ambiguous or dual attitude towards soldiers, whereas people were taking pity on them to, wanted to get them out of there, versus some calling them baby killers and everything.
Yeah.
It's just, a right proper shit show.
Yeah. And what is your opinion on Aaron Sorkin? I am actually taking a master class with him, and believe it or not, he's actually telling me how to write film, which is actually kind of great. Masterclass is a great resource. If you want to learn how to cook food and be like Gordon Ramsay, you can do that.
Yeah. I'll stick to binging with Babish when it comes to learning how to cook. Or anyway. James May, for that matter. James May, his most recent book, Oh Cook, 60 Recipes That Even an Idiot Could Cook. It's out in the UK right now. It's not available until late November in the US.
You guys, you guys saw the...
A bit off topic.
Yeah.
But
Aaron Sorkin. You guys saw The Social Network, right?
I didn't see The Social Network, but I saw A Few Good Men. And yes, it does have the meme of, you can't handle the truth. It's a great movie.
The classic.
Yeah. And, I also saw Moneyball and other movies that he's done. And because you have such a great person helping lead this movie, I feel like it's going to do great in the long run and have an impact.
I agree, and it's coming out on Netflix. We have the option to watch it if we wanted to. So, and we don't even have to pay for it, which is great.
Yep.
and with that is it for movie news. Now we do have one more little bit of piece of news that we're going to go talk about, aren't we, Naka?
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I'm talking about the coming attractions and what we're going to be doing
attractions?
Next week.
Yeah, Scarfy has made a 1.7 gigabyte, 55-minute long video that we're going to play for our coming attractions. Is that going to be for the entire season, or is it just for next week?
That's just going to...
Because if it's just for next week, holy fuck.
We're not going to take have that long podcast every week.
So here's the thing. That 55-minute video is strictly coming attractions trailers, meaning that we didn't really make. You know how usually I would just make a list of all of the trailers that we would just pop one off, talk about it, pop one off, talk about it. But here we're going to make it a little more interactive and actually just do that. Keep in mind, this is just 55 minutes. This is just the coming attractions. So if it looks like it's a little long, it's not really a little long. It's just coming attractions. It's not, that doesn't include our main events, which is basically video game trailers and our week ahead movie trailers, which is a lot shorter. Trust me, guys, it's a lot shorter. So what we're going to be doing is when it comes to coming attractions, we are going to be doing a video reaction of us looking at trailers and reacting to it while Naka gives out the link in post. And that's what we're going to be doing just for that week. And then next week, it's going to be a lot easier because videos aren't going to be videos like that aren't going to be 55 minutes long. So, you know, so are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. You had a little bit of a hesitancy when I said that the video was 55 minutes long.
Yes.
Because can you explain why?
I'm sounding like Bubby from HLVRAI because I'm just like, it's 55 minutes of just coming
trailers.
Attractions. Of just the trailers for coming attractions. That's not on top of our video game trailers and our regular movie trailers.
Yes. but don't worry.
So
it's
we're
just
guaranteed a minimum hour and a half alone just in videos. That doesn't include music. That doesn't talk about any other stray news that we have to talk about. We're going in for at least a 2-hour show next week, a bare minimum.
Yes. So we're going to keep that in mind. But keep in mind, we can't really spend a whole lot of time talking about coming attractions. We can only just give our thoughts. And as for movie trailers, well, we'll deal with that as it comes. One other thing that I asked Naka was that I wanted to ask if we actually did a recording of, if we took some time out of our schedule to do recordings of our reactions to these trailers, because we felt like, well, we don't want I felt like if we start slow and constantly build up, we'll eventually get to a point where YouTube will stop paying attention to us of just reacting off trailers, which is why we're probably going to be doing it. We're probably going to be doing it in post commentary. We don't know. We're still figuring it out.
Correct.
It's your kaboom.
Yeah. What do you think, Naka? Or will we talk about this next time?
Yes,
or
we'll talk about it next time.
All right.
Where's the kaboom? There's supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom. Oh yeah, I removed the nuke from your stomach in case you went nuclear on Goku. Why did you do that? Who gave you the permission to do that?
You did it, Goku!
I remember you guys being freaked out that the video was 55 minutes long, but Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and call it a night
Deuces.
for the night. Yes, deuces as well. As always, my name is Scarfy.
I'm Naka.
And I am Krüz.
You always have to make a silent no. You always have to have a pause in your.
No, I was just pausing because I couldn't find the sound effect in time. I realized that kind of pulls the curtain away from the whole thing, but I just wanted to play that sound when I said it.
It's like we have a cane. We just yank you by the neck and pull you back.
It's like, hi, my name is.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, guys, that is our show for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Stay awesome, stay awesome, and stay safe out there. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, goodbye.